On the day she was supposed to be sentenced, Devin Michaels didn't stand quietly before the judge. There was no visible remorse, no acceptance of responsibility, and no sign that she believed the case was over. Instead, she exploded. She shouted across the courtroom, accusing investigators of manipulating evidence, deleting crucial information, and framing her from the very beginning. She laughed defiantly and insisted that everyone had been deceived. "I can actually prove my innocence," she declared. The statement stunned everyone in the courtroom because it directly contradicted what had happened months earlier. After multiple interrogations, Devin had already admitted to striking Jonathan Willett during one of her interviews. Yet now she insisted that every piece of evidence had somehow been fabricated against her. But prosecutors were no longer interested in arguments. They had forensic evidence, they had digital records, they had surveillance footage, and they had something hidden inside an ordinary bedroom drawer that would become one of the most powerful pieces of evidence in the entire case. This is the story of Devin Michaels, whose legal name is Tracy Tavares, a former adult film actress convicted of murdering her former husband, Jonathan Willett. Everything presented here is based on court testimony, forensic findings, law enforcement records, and publicly documented proceedings. The tragedy began during the early morning hours of August 7th, 2023. Jonathan's mother, Yoko, had been sleeping upstairs. Around 1 o'clock in the morning, she came downstairs and noticed something unusual. Devin was alone in the kitchen. According to her testimony, Devin appeared startled when she saw her and quickly said that Jonathan was asleep and that she shouldn't disturb him. Nothing seemed obviously wrong, so Yoko went back upstairs. Hours later, she returned downstairs. This time, she entered Jonathan's bedroom. What she discovered would become one of the most disturbing homicide scenes investigators had ever encountered. Jonathan was lying in bed. His head and neck were gone. The brutality of the crime was immediately obvious, yet something else caught investigators' attention almost immediately. The room was remarkably clean. Normally, a violent decapitation creates extensive blood spatter across walls, ceilings, furniture, and surrounding surfaces. Instead, detectives found very little of the expected blood pattern. Experts concluded that someone had carefully cleaned portions of the scene. Chemical cleaning agents appeared to have been used. Even more significant, neither Jonathan's head nor the murder weapon could be found anywhere inside the house. Whoever committed the crime had not simply killed him. They had taken considerable time trying to erase what happened. Jonathan Willett was 46 years old and had spent years working in the Las Vegas timeshare industry. Friends and family described him as a devoted father who deeply loved his 2 daughters. Shortly before his death, he had successfully obtained primary custody of the children. His future appeared hopeful. He and Devin had planned to live together again to co-parent their daughters under one roof. Instead of becoming a fresh start for their family, that decision would place Jonathan in the same home as the person prosecutors said was preparing to kill him. As investigators dug deeper into the family's history, they uncovered a relationship that seemed almost impossible to believe. Devin was not only Jonathan's former wife, she had married Jonathan's own son, Devin Willett. Evidence presented during trial described a relationship between Devin and Devin that reportedly began years earlier, when Devin was only 19 years old. What started as an inappropriate relationship eventually became a marriage. By the summer of 2023, however, the arrangement faced a serious problem. Jonathan was preparing to move back into the home. According to testimony presented during trial, Devin would likely have to leave. The situation threatened the life Devin had created. Prosecutors argued that the walls were closing in. She would eventually have to choose between rebuilding stability with Jonathan or protecting the secret relationship that had transformed her entire life. The timeline from the night of August 6th into the early morning of August 7th became one of the prosecution's strongest tools. Around 10 p.m., Jonathan and Devin returned home together after shopping for school supplies for their daughters. Nothing appeared unusual. Just a few hours later, everything changed. At approximately 2:04 a.m., digital location data analyzed through Burla technology showed Devin's vehicle leaving the residence. 24 minutes later, surveillance cameras at a nearby CVS pharmacy recorded Devin purchasing medicine for one of the children. She was alone. That timeline became critically important because it established exactly when she left the crime scene and where she traveled afterward. Meanwhile, another unexpected discovery pushed the investigation forward. One of Devin's daughters found Jonathan's cell phone lying outside the family home. The phone was covered in blood. She handed it to investigators. For detectives, that single device became another link connecting the crime scene with the movements that followed. Search warrants soon led investigators to Devin's residence. Inside her bedroom, they searched through drawers filled with clothing and personal belongings. At the bottom of an underwear drawer, they discovered several tightly tied plastic bags. Inside those layers of plastic were Jonathan's wallet, his social security card, and the keys to his vehicle. The items had not been left in plain sight. They had been carefully wrapped, concealed, and hidden. Laboratory testing revealed something even more damaging. DNA belonging to Devin Michaels was recovered from the knots used to tie the plastic bags. That evidence suggested direct handling of the concealed items. The defense attempted to challenge the prosecution's theory from multiple directions. Attorneys argued that Devin's physical size made the prosecution's version unlikely. Standing approximately 5 feet 3 inches tall and weighing around 120 pounds, they claimed she simply lacked the strength necessary to decapitate a much larger adult man. Instead, they pointed toward another possible suspect, Devier Willette. According to the defense, Devier possessed experience operating chainsaws and understood security systems around the property. They argued he had stronger motives and greater physical capability. The jury listened carefully, but prosecutors reminded them that criminal cases are not decided by speculation. They are decided by evidence. One of the most significant moments came during Devin's 8th police interview. After hours of questioning over multiple sessions, her story changed again. This time, she admitted striking Jonathan. According to investigators, Devin said Jonathan had been lying face down while receiving a massage. She claimed she picked up a large wooden candle holder and struck him in the head. That confession directly contradicted many of her earlier statements. Even more damaging, investigators compared her various explanations against forensic evidence. At one point, Devin claimed Jonathan had accidentally cut his own hand while moving belongings around the house. The medical examiner found no such injury. Other than the fatal wounds associated with the killing, Jonathan had no matching cuts supporting her explanation. The evidence simply did not fit her story. Digital evidence created another nearly impossible obstacle for the defense. Google location history, cellular tower records, and phone data demonstrated that Jonathan's phone and Devin's phone traveled together for roughly 30 minutes after leaving the crime scene during the early morning hours. Devices cannot invent their own movements. Unlike witnesses, they have no memory to forget and no reason to lie. Piece by piece, prosecutors assembled a timeline supported by technology instead of assumptions. Surveillance cameras confirmed her movements. GPS records tracked the vehicle. Cell tower data documented the route. DNA connected her to concealed evidence. Forensic pathology disproved alternative explanations. And her own statements changed repeatedly as investigators confronted her with new facts. By the time closing arguments ended, prosecutors argued that every independent source of evidence pointed toward the same conclusion. The jury agreed. After only about 2 hours of deliberation, they found Devin Michaels guilty of first-degree murder. The court later sentenced her to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole after serving at least 28 years. Even then, Devin continued insisting that she had been wrongfully convicted. She repeated claims that investigators had manipulated evidence and hidden the truth. But the verdict reflected something much larger than one confession or one witness. It reflected hundreds of individual facts that reinforced one another. This case serves as a reminder that modern homicide investigations rarely depend upon a single dramatic discovery. Instead, they are built through countless ordinary details: a GPS signal, a surveillance camera, a blood-covered cell phone, DNA preserved on a plastic knot, a timeline that refuses to change. Perhaps the most striking evidence wasn't hidden inside a laboratory or discovered through advanced forensic science. It was found beneath ordinary clothing, inside an underwear drawer, where someone believed the truth would never be uncovered. In the end, the crime scene may have been cleaned, the weapon may have disappeared, the victim's head was never recovered, but the digital trail remained untouched, and those hidden belongings spoke louder than every accusation, every denial, and every attempt to rewrite what happened inside that house.